Hey, Greg here, founder of Wrestling-Divas.webs.com, your source for highlighting the most beautiful and deadly entertainers in professional wrestling. My next special guest is a professional wrestler, manager, and ring announcer who entered the industry at just 13 years of age. She has served as a Shine Wrestling hostess and has done ring announcing for Shimmer Women Athletes. She has also recently appeared on WWE programming. So I would like to welcome my next special guest, Chasity Taylor. Hi, Chasity. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. And before we get to your career and how that got started, I have to talk about recent events. Our last interview was with Tessa Blanchard, and you worked with her on WWE programming. You both appeared as a member of Adam Rose's crew, one of his Rosebuds. And I've talked to multiple people who have appeared on WWE programming while either under contract or as a cameo appearance or whatever else. And they always say that being a part of the WWE in any capacity whatsoever is just an amazing experience. Their production is flawless, and it's done without error. Can you please tell me what that experience was like and what you would carry away from that experience as far as how your career is going to continue to grow?
Definitely. I was fortunate enough to be like a last-minute call. I got a call from someone on Sunday evening. It was Mother's Day, and basically just was offered the extra spot, and they said that it was going to be for the Adam Rose entourage, and that was like 1 week after he had debuted. So I was familiar with the work. I remember seeing some of my other like indie friends, like Shauna worked for the Exotic Express the week before when he debuted. So I was super excited. I came home, I packed up all of my stuff, and I drove over to Greenville, South Carolina, about a 5.5-hour drive. And I got there, and I ended up meeting Tessa Blanchard. That was our first time meeting one another. A couple of the other indie workers, we all got together. They took us to our, the production guys took us to our little locker room that we were going to be in. And it was so surreal, like looking around and seeing all of the WWE superstars that I've watched on my TV for years, just walking by. And for a moment, I was no longer just a fan. I was a part of it, and it was super amazing, exhilarating, like you said, done without error. The production was insane. It was a lot of fun. And then the very next day, we got to go over to Greensboro, North Carolina, which is where I'm from, and got to do a taping for SmackDown as well. And that was honestly the highlight of anything I've ever done, was performing in the Greensboro Coliseum for WWE, because as a kid, that was my dream. I've always said, I want to perform at least one time in the Greensboro Coliseum for WWE. I'd be completely satisfied. And that's true. I was so happy when the night had ended and I could say, look, I was in front of a crowd in Greensboro. But so many more dreams were born that night, because I was like, okay, well, if I can do this, I can set new goals now. I want to wrestle in front of a crowd in Greensboro Coliseum. I want to win in a crowd in front of Greensboro Coliseum. There were so many new dreams that were born from that one coming true, and it was an absolutely amazing experience.
Well, I've been reading up on you for the past couple of days, and you have a very interesting story as far as how you got into the wrestling industry. You've been a fan for a long time, like a lot of us, but you actually started in the industry at 13 years old as a ring announcer. And that's very unique, because that's a young age to break in at any capacity, even for industry standards. So what about the whole timing of what you were doing at the time made you say that you wanted to be a professional wrestler or involved with the industry seriously? Because that's a really young age to break in.
I've always wanted to do this. It wasn't a dream that was just kind of like, I wasn't just a fan ever. I've always wanted to be a professional wrestler. There are home videos of me imitating Ric Flair. Like, my dad will tell anyone that my first steps, I was strutting. When I learned to count to 4. I didn't count to 3. It wasn't 1, 2, 3, go. I knew 4 because of the 4 horsemen. I idolized Baby Doll growing up. I used to walk around and, imitate Ernest the Cat Miller. I was always telling people that they better call my mama because I was fixing to whoop somebody. I mean, I grew up a fan who knew that that's what I wanted to do one day. I would play dress up, and I didn't want to be a Disney princess, and I didn't want to be, I wasn't playing dress up like most girls were doing. I was putting on bandanas like the rock and rollers. I was wearing my grandpa's boots as if they were wrestling boots. I was walking around in my bathing suits as wrestling gear. I mean, this is what I wanted to do from day one. And so my dad and I, when I first moved in with him, I was 11 or 12, and all we had was wrestling. I had grown up with him watching Starrcade videos and watching, Monday Night Raws and everything for so long that when I officially moved in with him, that's all we had ever known with one another was wrestling. So we started traveling to live indie shows around my hometown. We would drive, hours away to see them. Like anywhere in the state of North Carolina, we would go watch shows. And one promoter just kind of took a liking to me because I would go home and type up on my MySpace at the time, almost like an editorial of what happened that night. It wasn't just like so-and-so defeated so-and-so. It was, the guy started off with a lockup. They did this. Like I was so receptive of everything that I'd watched and witnessed that I would go home and not just write it for other people to see, but write it for me to remember. It was almost like an online diary. And so the promoter, took a liking to my work and asked me if I'd feel comfortable ring announcing for him, and I did. And at 13 years old, I was in the ring announcing for a small promotion here in North Carolina that I met so many of the local indie talent and stuff that ended up about a year later when my dad and I decided to start our own promotion. They came with us, and it's been an uphill, journey since then, and it's been wonderful.
Now, a ring announcer, some fans may see it this way and some fans not. It's up to your perception. But a ring announcer plays a critical role into hyping up a match because a ring announcer is the first person you hear, in most cases, above everything else. Any of the other wrestlers, any of the wrestlers' entrance music, a ring announcer is usually the first person that you hear. So can you please describe your role as it pertains to how you get fans hyped up into a match or a situation? What is your role in that?
I would say that I've been fortunate enough to never be shy. As a child, I was never a shy person. Growing up now as a teenager and stuff and a young adult, I'm not shy. I can talk to a stranger. I could talk to a wall. I'm very outgoing. And so when it comes to, being a ring announcer, I'm so it's not hard for me to get in the ring and speak. It's not, I'm nervous always, but I kind of just hope and pray that the fans are going to acknowledge me there and understand what I'm doing there. So as a ring announcer, when I'm getting the crowd hyped up at the beginning of the night, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to, whatever promotion we're at, I need you on your feet, make some noise, for, live wrestling. I would like to think that I have a very contagious personality that my fearlessness of being embarrassed in front of a crowd allows them to be fearless, to stand up and boo as loud as they want, cheer as loud as they want, talk crap to the bad guys, high five the good guys, be a wrestling fan, because it's something that not everyone can do proudly anymore. Wrestling's such a closet fan base, it seems like, that people don't want to stand up and say, hi, I watch WWE on the reg. So being able to come to an event and having someone tell you it's okay to be loud and obnoxious and crazy because everyone in this building is a fan, whether we want to stand up and admit it or not. So I try to get in the ring with that attitude. Look, I'm crazy, I'm fun, I'm happy to be here. You guys should be too, so let's stand up and raise some cane for this promotion. Let's have fun. And I've been doing that for, going on 6 years now, so it's been a lot of fun. And I've been very fortunate to have the fans over the past 6 years see that in me and appreciate it and acknowledge it and then reciprocate it. They stand up and they cheer as well, and it's a wonderful feeling.
So if you started off in the industry as a wrestler and you're just starting to wrestle now, if you started off as in the industry as a wrestler as opposed to a manager and a ring announcer like you are now, how would that have changed your perception of what sports entertainment and what professional wrestling is, if anything?
I think if I would have started off immediately as a wrestler, I don't think I would have ever gotten the full appreciation for the industry, because as of today, my birthday's in a week, so as of today, I'm 19 years old. I have been a ring announcer for some of the most amazing and dominant promotions across the country. I have managed some of the greatest, amazingly talented men across the East Coast. I have worked for promotions as a backstage interviewer or correspondent for places, all up and down the East Coast. Like, I've been very fortunate. My dad and I ran our own promotion for 2.5 years, so I got to see the side of promoting and booking and more of the backstage, like, manager, or, the managing roles. I got to do that. And then now I'm finally breaking out as a worker. I am traveling and accepting bookings as a professional wrestler, and I have a newfound appreciation for the entire industry. Like, I feel like I connect really well with promoters or bookers or the smaller talent in some of those locker rooms because I did start there. Now, most wrestlers, when they do break out, they're the green boys of the business, so they pay a lot of dues, and I'm still doing that, but I'm fortunate enough to where I paid dues as a ring announcer and was lucky enough to work my way up from really small North Carolina promotions to working for places like Shimmer's Pre-Show and Shine down in Florida. And I've, managed people here in North Carolina, and then I've also gone up to New York and Pennsylvania and things like that. So I think starting from the absolute bottom and as a fan and then working my way up to being asked to be a ring announcer for a promotion and then, attempting to perfect that craft and moving to other bigger things and then moving up to managing and now wrestling, it gives you a newfound appreciation for the sport, and I think it gives you a sense of wisdom that some people may not have, because a lot of people don't understand what it takes to run a promotion. Most people don't understand what it takes behind the scenes. Fans definitely don't see that. So us as workers and as entertainers, like, we sometimes take for granted what's going on behind the scenes, and I try really hard not to do that now that I'm breaking out as a worker, because I have been on that other side before, and it's different, but I'm fortunate to have been able to start from such a young age in such a smaller part of the show to what I'm doing now.
So we've interviewed a lot of people like you who have had to work from the bottom up, Amy Vitale being one. She had to work concession and then ring, setting up the ring and everything like that. And certainly for anyone who does it, they say the same thing. They have a great appreciation for all aspects of wrestling, not just the actual physical process of training. So I'm sure you've seen a lot of people who haven't gone through that process, or some of the models in the WWE, they get a contract and they don't have any prior experience. In your opinion, what is the difference between someone, male or female, who wants to be in the industry versus someone who has an ulterior motive? What's that kind of extra driving force, if you will, that they have?
I think as a fan, you can look at someone and tell if their brain is in the business or if their heart is. Not anyone can get in the ring and be taught to bump. Not anyone can get in the ring and be told, "Hey, fall backwards," and it be natural. Some people are absolutely blessed for it to be a natural ability and it just be in your blood and in your genes, and you were born with the ability to do this. Other people are not. It takes a really strong-willed and determined person to be a professional wrestler. I mean, we put our bodies through so much to do this. So I applaud some of the, as you said, models who get contracts and stuff, because maybe their heart's not in it, but they're there and they have been trained and they did endure the training to get there. But I think as a fan, we can look at people who are on WWE TV or TNA or whatever and see who's there for the right reasons. As a fan, you can look at a match and tell, like, who's the better wrestler because of heart and passion in it. Girls like Natalya and Paige and, girls like that, you can tell they're passionate. Even if you didn't know that they were Generation superstars, you can look at them and tell, like, their heart's in this, because every step they take in the ring has pride and heart behind it. And that's what I think separates the people who are in it for the money versus the people who are in it because it's all they've ever wanted to do.
So you broke into the industry, like we've been saying, at a very young age, and it's not only the whole physical end or the whole labor end in your particular case that's really difficult, but like every industry, wrestling has politics, and that can take some adjusting to get used to. And at a young age, did you have any idea of what wrestling politics was, and how did you adjust to it at such a young age?
Okay, so when I first started at 13, I had to lie and say that I was 18. The promotion I was working for asked me to tell everyone that I was 18 years old. Now, one, it was so unbelievable because I didn't look 18 then, and sometimes I get told I don't look 18 now. So when it comes to politics and stuff, I didn't understand why it was a big deal that I wasn't 18 years old. You know, why is it a big deal that I'm so young? Like, it's just, you know, it was just another Saturday to me. And then when I moved from that promotion over to my home promotion now, which is CWS Mid-Atlantic in Gibsonville, North Carolina, they actually are the ones who taught me, hey, when you get here, you shake everyone's hand. You introduce yourself to those who don't know you, and you say hello to those that you do. And before you leave today, no matter if you're in a hurry or not, you shake hands with everyone in this building and say goodbye. And, you know, you make your presence known and your exit known. Something I had never been told before. Like, it was never taught to me at my first promotion. And so that was a really big deal, and at first I didn't understand why. But like I said earlier, as you go through the phases of life in wrestling, you know, working your way up, you see, like, those people who do come in and shake hands and make their presence and their exit known, those are the ones that stand out to you. There's something about them, like when you shake someone, that's like an intimate introduction. That's, you know, not just, hi, I'm Chasity. It's, hello, my name is Chasity Taylor. It's nice to meet you. Like, that's a bond between, you know, worker and worker. And I never understood that. And then the politicking with, like, promotions and stuff, and, like, professional wrestling is networking yourself out. You have to make people like you. And before you can make a fan like you have to make a promoter want you. You have to make that promoter care enough to have you and bring you into their show. And if you're not, you know, promoting yourself online, networking out on Facebook and Twitter and whatever else is out there, what are you doing to make someone notice you? So in wrestling, I guess, like, I agree politics is a thing, but I think it's more just self-networking. If you're not selling yourself to be a star, they're not going to treat you like one. And that's something I had to learn a really hard way, because I've never, you know, in school I was that dorky girl who liked wrestling, so I've never really cared if people liked me at school, because, I mean, I was carrying around my action figures and being a super dork and watching WWE all the time. So if people didn't like me and thought that was weird, like, who cares? But now, like, as a entertainer, I'm like, wow, like, I have to make people like me. Like, I've got to kind of embrace the inner nerd. Yeah, I'm a wrestling fan. I'm super Southern, and I love WWE, and I grew up liking Ricky Morton. Like, bring me to your show, because I'm something different. And the first time I noticed that was something that was a good selling point for me was with Pro Wrestling Syndicate up north. Their fans had never, like, me going up there, and as the first time I picked up a microphone for them, the fans popped huge because I said y'all. Like, it was just something different, and from that point on I realized, like, I need to embrace who I am inside on the outside as well, and make people see that this is, you know, this is who I am. I'm networking, I'm politicking, whatever you want to call it, but you should bring me to your show and let me show the fans why I am who I am, or why I do, like, what I do. And so it's not natural. Politicking is not natural for anyone, because most people, you know, were like me. You don't really care if someone likes you or not. So it was a tough thing to adapt to at such a young age. At 13 years old, like, you're already going through so much when it comes to, like, you know, middle school and high school drama and whatever, and cliques and stupid stuff like that. But then you get introduced to all of these, like, older, bigger men who are looking down on you, or, like, expecting something out of you. And I had no idea. For the first, I'd say, year I was in the business, I had no idea that politicking was a thing. I kind of just showed up, did my thing, and left.
So now that you're a wrestler, you're going through this transition in your career, and you certainly have experience in many other ways that other traditional wrestlers may not have. And one thing that they really teach you, and arguably it's the most important part of wrestling training, is the psychology. And like you said earlier, when Paige and Natalya wrestle, they always put some sort of meaning behind everything they do, whether it's a move or, you know, a stance or whatever. So what is your interpretation of in-ring psychology, and how do you apply it to your particular matches?
I am still so new in wrestling that what I've learned over the past 6 to 8 months is, as a heel, as a bad guy, it's a lot easier to make someone hate you. You know, if I walk in the ring and I spit on a fan, or I, you know, just from the second you walk out of the curtain, if you're a bad guy, they know it. They can boo you, they can hate you, they can whatever. As a babyface, and as a natural babyface that I am, I come across the fact that sometimes, no matter what you do, the fans want more and they want to see more out of you and they expect more out of you, so it's harder to make them cheer for you. Girls who are when I work people who are natural heels, as soon as they step out of the curtain, they're being booed. It makes the match itself goes so smoothly because, you have the polar opposites. You've got the bad, the mean rebel heel, and you've got the sweet southern, belle who's in the ring, and you would think, like, okay, the fans are going to cheer for me, boo for her. But when it comes to psychology, it's like no matter what you do, the fans want to see more. They expect more out of the both of you, and they're going to boo you and they're going to cheer for you, but they want more. And so that's when the psychology in the match comes in. Like, why do we do the moves we do? Why does this come after this? Why do we sell the way we do? And that's something that, like I said, like everything else, I'm learning over time. It's definitely something I haven't perfected yet. I'm such a girl sometimes that it bothers me when I don't get over as much as I want with the fans, like when I don't interact, because I feel like on the microphone I can talk and, hopefully make people like me, but when it comes to your work as a worker, you have to, work really hard to make people appreciate you. And so I think it's something that will come with time. I'm still very green in the business, and I'm still, slowly breaking my way into the industry as a professional wrestler. So it's just going to come with time. Right now, it's harder than most people would think.
I have a feeling that you have a very, very long career ahead of you, for sure. But when your career finally decides to come to an end, quote unquote, when I think of you, Chasity Taylor, what do you want me to think about when you, have your final match or whatever the case is? What do you want fans to remember you by?
I really want people to remember that this is so cheesy, but absolutely anything is possible if you put your mind to it. If you put your heart into something, like, one of my favorite quotes is from Cinderella, the Disney movie, and it's a dream is a wish your heart makes. If you want something and you dream it, you can do it. I started off as a 6-year-old fan who had her heart broken by Ricky Morton, and that pushed me to go to every live show in North Carolina and go home and write about it. And I really wanted to remember every match I'd ever seen, so I would plug them on my MySpace and stuff. And then that led me to be a ring announcer, which opened the doors to manage guys, which opened doors to me doing tag matches, which opened doors to me, traveling the country and now wrestling. So absolutely anything is possible. If you take out the words never and can't in your in your vocabulary and just do it. And you don't have to be the best. You don't have to be perfect at anything, because no one's naturally perfect at absolutely anything. Just work hard and make it happen, and work your way up to things, because performing in Greensboro was my dream for so long, and that's happened. And now I'm pushing myself to do so many new things, and that's because I keep on dreaming. Above all else, I am a dreamer, and I think that absolutely anything is possible if you put your heart into it, and I want people to remember me for that.
Now, this question is a bit of a tradition, so to say, at my interviews, and I've gotten some pretty interesting answers over the years, but if you could sum up your experience in the professional wrestling industry as a performer in just one word, what would it be?
A fairy tale. I know that's
ever.
really cheesy. Yeah, I would say it's been a fairy tale. It's your traditional rags to riches story. It's your traditional damsel in distress. It's been, as a girl, it's been everything I could have wanted to be and more. So a fairy tale, and it's not over. I think the Prince Charming at the end will be me being signed to a major promotion one day.
So before we wrap up, and I think I have an idea of what the answer to this question will be, but I could be surprised. But after you, quote-unquote, retire, how do you think wrestling will affect the rest of your life? Because I always hear that once you enter the industry, you never truly leave it.
Definitely. This has been a part of my life for so long that I don't ever see me necessarily leaving wrestling. Even when wrestling's no longer a profession of mine, if that's something that I have to put away, so at some point I hope to still be traveling around on the indies when I'm 100 years old, like whether it's just to be a special guest or whatever. Like, I never want to put wrestling away. It's when you want something so bad and you work so hard for it, I don't see it ever ending. So I would love to be 100 years old and still doing this in some capacity.
So you talked about wrestling being all about networking and networking yourself to fans and promoters. I know that you're all over social media and whatnot. You even have your own website. So could you please plug that in so that there's no confusion on how fans or promoters can contact you?
Of course. You can email me at chastitytaylor494@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter at chastitytaylor. There's an extra R, so it's Taylorr. You can also see me this weekend at PWX Wrestling in High Point, North Carolina. They have a TV show and an app you can go check out and catch the show live. I'm going to be busy for the rest of the summer, you guys, so I hope to see and meet everyone anywhere I'm at. Feel free to hit me up, tweet me, whatever you got to do. I would love to meet all of the wrestling fans out there. It's fun to meet people who are as passionate and as into something as crazy as I am. So don't be shy. Say hello to me wherever you may be, even if it's just online or whatever. And hopefully I'll be in a city near you guys soon.
Well, thanks so much for your time, Chasity. I really appreciate it, and I definitely think you've been bitten by the wrestling bug, as they say, and I wish you a happy birthday as well. Enjoy it, and I really love your passion, and I think it's something that you don't see a lot of these days in competitors as young as yourself. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks to everyone else for tuning in. Be sure to check out www.wrestling-divaz.webs.com for more exclusive content, and follow the website on Twitter at Wrestling Divas, again with a Z at the end, for all the latest updates.